Talk with Tyson Bryden. Come on for the ride. We'll take you inside. Non-stop rock talk. It's non-stop rock talk with Tyson Bryden. Come on for the ride. We'll take you inside.
Welcome to Non-Stop Rock Talk. I am your host, Tyson Bryden. Today, we welcome back for a return engagement, singer-songwriter David Reece. David, welcome back once again. How's it going?
Hello, Mr. Tyson. Good to hear from you again. Glad to be back.
Perfect. Now, what I love about the latest Bangalore Choir release, Rapid Succesion on Target 2, is that we keep getting to discuss it. This is our fourth interview since August of last year. And it seems that we don't run out of things to talk about in terms of this album.
That's a good thing.
That's a very good thing, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the latest thing we get to talk about is the brand new video for the song I Never Meant To. And I know from talking about it in the past when we ran through the album, watching the video, as I was watching it, I was curious how it would be portrayed in video form. And when I watch it, first, I love the lyrics, that the lyrics are included, because those are some very heartfelt lyrics, as you had explained before. But the mood conveyed, there is a bunch of emotions invoked in this video. It's such a strong presentation. Did you have a lot of input in how you wanted that video to turn out?
Just Andy Susamil did it. He did Bullet Train and Driver's Seat as well. And he's really good when I just say, this is what it's about. This is what I'm thinking. And I just turn him loose. He's got the gift. I mean, we both kind of think the same. He's a single father, and well, I'm remarried and I have stepsons, but like we talked about in the last interview, it's about divorce, and you know how the poison can, one spouse can turn on the other and talk badly about the children and put things in their head to where it's tough to reach through, you know. And funny enough, the song has actually opened a lot of doors between the daughters and I. So it's music can speak louder than words, I think. So yeah, but the video, you know, I mean, I just turned him loose, and that's Andy. He's down in Mexico right now.
Oh yeah,
he did it down there. I think he's going to move to Paraguay.
Paraguay, wow.
He just got his dual citizenship. I don't know what he's doing in Mexico. I know he's playing music. We're writing together right now, but he's happy.
That's awesome. Where is Paraguay in Central America? Yeah. Right?
Yeah. There's a large German population because of a certain episode in our history where they speak fluent German and Spanish. So from what he tells me, he loves the place and the people, and he's actually told me he was in Spanish language school now, and he's coming back at the end of this month, April, and back to Germany, and I think he's going to return. We're going to play some shows during the summer and early fall, and then I think he'll go back to Paraguay in the winter.
Cool.
That's what he says.
That's awesome. I know you and I know we can talk about this, and this is kind of off music a little bit, but it kind of relates to the South America thing and the Central America thing with the German population. Did you happen to see this latest report of a certain man with that little mustache being 128 years old coming out and saying he's been there for 70 years?
Yeah. There's a lot of stories about that. I think it's Argentina.
Argentina, yeah, it was Argentina.
Yeah, Mengele, they definitely know he lived and died there, and multiple others. See, during that whole time in like March into early April, a lot of them knew it was over, so they bailed and got on ships and bought their way out, and they were welcomed in those countries, and with money, of course, they
Yeah.
had money and ill-gotten gains. But of course, I mean, even up until the '60s, Adolf Eichmann, the Mossad, they captured him. He was working in a Mercedes-Benz plant, I think.
Wow.
They tracked him down, I think, in the early '60s, and they're still hunting him. You know,
That's crazy.
there are some. They'd have to be in the early hundreds, you would think.
Yeah. That's why I was,
And maybe middle '90s.
yeah, I was just amazed by that this, whether it be or not. But then the report says, well, they have information saying that no, that couldn't be him because they found him. But reports I've heard that the people that found him, that it was actually, when they went back, it was actually a woman. So it's,
What I've heard and read is in Russia they have a museum with his jawbone and his dental implants.
uh
Now, if it's really him, who knows? But that's one of those things I don't think we'll ever know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would think they would have taken his wife with him, if they had those
right.
artifacts, or whatever.
Yeah, it's.
But
I mean, I watched a Netflix documentary on that whole thing about the fleeing to Argentina, and personal accounts of people that were maids and stuff actually speaking with Adolf Hitler, and that, I mean, it seemed pretty accurate that that's where he was.
yeah, it's anything is possible, my friend. I mean, the last couple of years in this world, nothing surprises me. I mean,
No, man.
I've basically stopped. I don't really pay attention to the 15-minute regurgitation of news and all that stuff. I've really been involved in studying about the people. These documentaries that are so popular, there's a few that I like to watch where it seems to be more on a level where they ask real questions. They're not trying to get the likes and stuff. They dive deep.
Yeah.
And I was a big Art Bell fan too when he was alive. Do you remember Art Bell? The radio guy at night, the DJ?
No.
If you get a chance, go to some of he died, I think, in 2015. He was a late night DJ, and he was the kind of guy you could drive down the highway, like if you're touring, turn on the AM radio, and he always had cool music in the background. It was spooky. He would get calls from all over the world. And then right before he died, he started using Skype, people calling in, and you hear some freaky stuff from exorcists to, Bigfoot, all kinds of things people would call in and talk about. And, you're in the middle of Nebraska at 3 a.m. in the full moon, you're going, ooh. And I've been tuning into him again, listening to those old episodes. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah. Yeah, Art Bell.
Art Bell. Where would I find that on YouTube maybe, or just Google him maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All his programs are back up and running. It's pretty cool.
That is
Cryptids,
awesome.
ghosts. It's just crazy.
Wow.
But I tend to like that kind of stuff, because I think what's happened, I don't know about your country, but everybody's so divided, I mean, it's just, I just can't listen to it anymore.
Yeah.
I think I've come politically into being an independent. I think that's where I stand now. I agree with what on the left says. I agree with what the right says. And if there's somebody that I find to be a valid candidate that speaks the language that's in my head, then I'll pay attention to them. But right now, it's either you're one way or you're the other. You know what I mean? And so
yeah,
I'm waiting for that to, what's the word, transpire? If it's going to.
Exactly. Well, I mean, my wife and I were talking yesterday about, the price of fuel right now here is astronomical. I don't know what it's like in Italy. Has it gone up as well?
It has, but it took a serious drop yesterday when they opened up the straits.
Oh,
And that tells me, and this is not rock and roll, but there are people controlling this world that are more powerful than your prime minister, than my president, and
yeah.
our leader here. They run the show. And it seems like when disaster happens, they capitalize on those issues, and they just, all of us pay the price for it. You try to do the right thing, and then these greedy, slimy creatures. Okay, now oil's 120 a barrel when it
Yeah.
was like 40 2 weeks ago.
I know.
How does that happen?
I asked the same question, and that's what we were having this conversation. I didn't realize they had opened the strait. See, I'm not. I don't watch the news as much, but in Canada it may take longer because they'll want to reap all the benefits of overcharging us,
Sure.
which is a common thing. But yeah, I didn't realize that they had opened the strait yesterday, so that's good news.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way, Trump can be very Trump, and he's going to end civilization in Iran, was his comment on Truth Social. And when I first read it, I went, have you lost it? I mean, but basically they're a regime-run country, and basically he's saying, I'm going to stop all of your capability to continue committing terror acts on your people and around the world. He wasn't going to do it to the citizens, but the way he says things, it's like, he's going to end civilization in Iran. What? And then I looked deeper into it, and basically he said, enough. I'll shut off your power and your water to all your military bases, and then you'll have nothing. But in a way, I'm sure it would affect the people.
Absolutely.
As well. But it's a trickle down world we live in. Yeah, I think everything is controlled by some angry beast, and I nobody can say it's all his fault, it's all Trudeau's fault, or there's people way above them that are pulling the strings. And that's why I mentioned Art Bell, and you get retired CIA guys, and they call in, and the different names, they mask their voice, cool. And I mean, and then you go, I never thought about in my early rock and roll days. I never really paid attention to politics and how everything went, because everything seemed okay.
Yeah.
When you start paying more and get less and less in return, maybe it's a maturation thing. I don't know, but you start going, wait a minute, I didn't cost that last month. Why is it more now?
Yeah. And that's what our conversation was about, leading into that. Like, I mean, in a lot of ways in Canada, in certain situations, we're in crisis of people not having food or homes, or because the price of our food has gone up so much that, people have to make a choice. We either eat or we heat. You know what I mean? Like,
yep, that's terrifying.
That is terrifying.
I do think that, I used to hear it before. I haven't heard it for a while, but Europeans have said to me, you're such a young country, America. They fought for thousands of years over here for little pieces of real estate. I mean, Bulgaria was a gigantic country at one time. And it still is, but the Ottomans, the whole thing, they were fighting for, country for thousands of years. And we're a 250-year-old country this year in America. And I've heard them say, you have another civil war coming. There will come a time when, you'll be fighting each other, killing each other again, like we did in the 1860s. And if it happened once, it can happen again.
Yep.
And one thing I always thought about, like with nuclear war, I'm probably one of the unlucky bastards that'll survive it, and I'll be killing somebody for a can of Hormel chili. That I don't want to see.
No.
I want to be watching Netflix and be vaporized. I'm sorry. That sounds really
I'm the
harsh.
same. I feel the same way.
I don't want to be the guy that has one surviving child, or his wife and my family's wiped out, and we're living underground and like these space age movies we see that could be a reality, and
If someone's crazy enough to do it,
yeah,
right.
I've had enough. Push the button, and then once it's on, it's on. Call back. It may be too late. They said it was an 8-minute arrival time from the Iranians with a nuclear ICBM to the United States. 8 minutes.
We don't
and
want that.
they fly at 7,000 miles per hour. I mean, how do you stop that? So,
Wow.
yeah, I think about that stuff a lot. My wife is really sick of politics. I mean, here today, gone later today, kind of like the rock scene in America. I mean, our leader Maloney will say, "We're not going to do that. I ally with this," and then the next day it's a completely switch. And I know it's run by the Vatican in this country. A lot of the choices and decisions are made. They disagree with it, they'll call up and say, "No, can't do that. Change it." And is that really a free and democratic way? I don't know.
Yeah, good question.
I don't know. But if you're talking to me about heat or eat, especially a country as blessed as Canada, I mean, I played a lot of shows in those provinces, and it took hours to drive across the Saskatchewan to Alberta to Manitoba. The resources you have, it's unbelievable.
You're right, and
Montana, where I live,
yeah, it's hard to believe because we have so many people living on the streets, and there's encampments of places that they built to have shelter in the bush because there's so much of it right now.
And I used to think a lot of that was choice.
I did too.
People that just couldn't handle it. But you know what? I think it's because there is no choice. We're going to group together and survive with each other and live under plastic, tarps.
Yeah.
And in your country, it's minus 30 or 40.
Right.
That's got to be pretty rough, man.
Yeah. Yeah. We did
Then I see, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, David. You're good.
Well, I mean, then you see people that come from countries that have lived like that for hundreds of years come over to countries like ours who have a new apartment and an EBT card and are living really well, and the citizens and the veterans, because I come from a family of military service, and I see my brother was treated, his injuries, and how get in the back of the line, wait a minute, I'm injured because of what I did for you.
For you.
And why am I waiting? It's hard to swallow.
It's funny that you mention that, and I relate that back to, do you remember, of course you remember the Metallica album, Master of Puppets. There's a song on it called Disposable Heroes. And I always relate that to, I haven't read the lyrics of that song in a long time, but to me, it always kind of went back to the way that some of soldiers were treated.
I used to, like we talked about, funny guy with the mustache, even though with that act of evil that they created, there were boys, it's like you and I were at that age, that were forced into that slaughter that did not want to be there. And whole villages in Europe were wiped out of every man.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that.
My wife's father's father, when the Germans were in Albania, this village, they grabbed their hunting rifles and shotguns and took off. How many men was it? Not, he was like 40-something guys. Wow. And they were annihilated within an hour once they crossed the mountain. And there's a memorial in the village of all of their names. And his name, her grandfather's name is on it. And his wife was pregnant with her father when it happened. And there was a village in Germany that I lived in, and I don't know if I told you this story, but I look out my apartment window and
With the
there's
tree?
a giant pine tree.
The tree, yeah.
The tree.
Yeah.
And the branches were falling on cars. And she said, "You're not taking that tree down." He planted that when he left.
Yeah.
And he was the only survivor of this village. And she had to fight the women because they'd say, "Hey, I need my cow's milk. I can give you a little extra."
Yeah.
That stuff happened. Andy's father, I mean, amazingly, his mother had him when she was around 50. His two brothers were killed by the Russians in an orphanage.
What? Oh,
He
wow.
never, and his father was a hero fighter pilot, which we found out through a Danish friend of mine who's really into the German military. Found him, photos of him, and Andy remembers him till he died when he's about 5. But he was in a Russian gulag
Wow.
when he was shot down, and just walked home. And she got pregnant and had Andy, and the stories he remembers were horrible. And he died, built a house first, and then passed away. And I send him these photos. I go, here is your dad. There's a rank. This is the award he got. And he's like, "Oh my God, I never knew that."
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And having two brothers, which were brought to an orphanage with the Catholic nuns because they believe that nobody would harm the baby. So all the mothers rushed the children to these places, and the Russians kicked the door in. And what did they do? Killed all the babies because they're Germans.
Yeah.
Payback. And his two brothers sadly were in that orphanage, and
That's awful. Wow.
it's awful. But I mean that's like you said, forgotten heroes. I mean, even if we were fighting against them, they believed in what they believed in.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go. My brother's son was in Syria during the Biden era, and they were being attacked a minimum of 180 times a day.
Wow.
And they were told not to fire back. And what happened was his platoon, the majority of the boys suffered brain injuries because of the concussion of mortars. And it basically, maybe I'm wrong, but it sounded like it's like a liquefaction of the brain.
Yeah.
Because your brain gets shook so much that they weren't shot. They were underground in the sand, but
the shaking,
they rattled from
the rattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he came home and his papers were up to re-up, he said, "Oh, nope, I'm out. 14 years, bye, I'm out." So maybe he would re-enlist now. I don't know, but yeah.
Wow. Well,
Crazy.
let's talk some more music. But thank you. I mean, we always seem to have good conversations like that, which I think is.
I'm not afraid to. I was afraid for a while because people in this business, if you sound conservative or you agree, it's infected the business. I have a friend in another band that was banned from a festival for life because of his political affiliation. Another drummer friend of mine was kicked out of the band after 30 plus years. You probably know him. I won't mention their name because Europe refused to book him because of his political affiliation. I was going to join up on one of those tours and it started looking really messy. And I just said, I'm not getting involved because this thing could implode on the first show. And once, that happens, what happened to rock and roll? We were supposed to be able to really express ourselves.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I'm pink, black, blue, or yellow. I don't. It's just an opinion.
Exactly.
But if you don't toe the line, these corporations are saying all the bands must toe the line or they're not on the bill. That's insane to me.
That is insane.
And then they'll book bands that are super conservative. Why? Because they sell tickets.
Right.
They'll have Trump flags on the stage. Okay. But they'll put them as the headliner because they'll put 5,000 heads on the ground. It's just nuts.
Wow. Jeez. I had no idea. I had no idea that was even a thing. That it was, like I had no clue.
It's happening and it's getting worse. And it's even dangerous to talk about it, but I don't. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell me I can't play again. I mean, if that's how this game's going to be, I'm not playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was open about suffrage on both sides of
Yeah.
whatever conflict that happens. You should think it was choice. No, it's not. These guys that had to fight against the Americans and the Canadians, they didn't want to fight us.
No.
We want to go home.
Facts
If
are
we have a
facts.
home.
Facts are facts.
Facts are facts. And we're all human beings. Are you a Christian?
Yep. Yep. I am.
Yeah, me too. See, you ask people that in this business, I'm not, I don't deal with religion. After the Easter weekend, I started studying and I was touched deeply, especially his followers after he came back, and what happened to those 12 people was diabolical. The suffering of his followers. I mean, where they ended up around the world, India, Scotland, and all these places. The flag in Scotland is across like this, long ways.
Yes.
And I believe it was Andrew was crucified upside down in Scotland. And that's what he wanted was an X. And that's the reason their flag has the X. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
And it's, I could go way down the rabbit hole here, but
I'm sure my
kind
wife
of
knows.
awakened something.
I'm sure my wife knows. She's a Catholic school teacher. So she,
right.
she probably knows more about this than I would.
I live in Italy and the Romans, were conquered the world basically. And historically, Pontius Pilate did not want to kill Jesus. He had Barbara standing next to him, a proven murderer, rapist, maniac. And they said, crucify him because they were frightened. And he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And I believe that. And yeah. So maybe you just get older and you think about that stuff. I don't know. This is a good interview. I mean,
No, I appreciate that. And I appreciate, we should be able to, speaking of all this stuff we're talking of not being able to do. And there's still freedom of speech as far as I thought. And you're allowed to have your opinion.
Yeah, but rock and roll.
That's what
rock and roll was about that. Look,
right.
When Elvis was the king, he was terrified when the Beatles landed on these shores. It was like a tidal wave, and he protested against it. But he was, the pelvis. He broke barriers, and here comes these crazy four kids, with 2-minute songs. And then what happened? They got so big, Lennon said, we're more popular than Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And it was a figure of speech.
Yes, that was taken literal.
Yeah. But what he was trying to say, I think, was we're more popular because people are not, there's no faith in anything, but they believe in us more than that. And it's insane to him because I don't get it. And that they took it out of context.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. And then they burnt records. They burned all the albums and had a big fire. And yeah.
Nazi Germany burned books.
That's right.
They didn't want you reading certain philosophical ideas from famous, philosophers. And they wanted to indoctrinate one way of thinking, which I refused to do. I got in this business because it was exciting. Music has always been the only drug that I can, like today I was writing and I got carried away and I lost about 2 hours and I didn't have any of these thoughts in my head. And that's what it is. It's platitude and all that, oh, you're great and blah, blah, blah. None of that matters to me.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, sure, I would like to be more successful. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty comfortable with where I am as a singer and an artist and as a human being. I still struggle. I'd be lying if I didn't say it honestly. I mean, I have my anxieties, that, like my wife said, were you born early tonight? We were getting ready for this. I go, what are you talking about? Usually because you want to do things right now. She goes, usually children that are born premature are like that. I said, no, I was actually a month late and they took me out to the cesarean section. She goes, that makes no sense. Because I got to do it yesterday.
Oh, I know how that feels, to be honest with you. I would have been home earlier to start earlier if we had to, but I had to go to I had to go to a basketball tournament this afternoon for my stepdaughter. So I took the afternoon off of work. So
great for you, man. What's the weather like there?
It's sunny today, and we're about +6 or 7. Tomorrow is supposed to be about 13, 14 degrees Celsius. So we're kind of up and down. We had snow yesterday, though, yesterday morning.
21 here today.
Oh, man, that sounds wonderful.
But then tomorrow we could get hammered with, 4 for a rainy week. And then
we're the same.
It's that, the rebirth of the year,
No, we had last Friday, we were in the 20s and we were watching the Blue Jays baseball game out on the deck with the patio furniture out. And then we had to cover it. Nice. The next day it was 10. So, but I mean, it's coming, right? So
yeah,
you're kind of like, you're anxious for it, but it's coming soon. So
there's a time of the season. Bam, bam, bam.
That's right.
I love that.
Now let's discuss the fact that you've been in the studio recording.
Yeah. I did a couple of songs for a pair of songwriters, Tommy McWilliams and Steve Gordon. I met them through BraveWords, Michael Brandwold. And these guys' resume is ridiculous. They have worked with Rod Stewart, Gloria Estefan, John Cicada, you name it. And Tommy and Steve just wrote the new Elegant Weapons record with Richie Faulkner.
Cool.
So I was listening to the tracks that they had written and asked me to guest on their record. And I said, you guys want to try to write together? And they said, say when. So I have completed with them right now 8 new songs.
Wow, cool.
And they are very much in line with the last BC record, but with a little more of a modern edge to it. Oh. And I talked to Tommy today about it, and I said, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? He goes, Dave, it's progression. It's what you should do. You don't want to write the same record every year. Because I got a little nervous because, this last record was very successful. Incidentally, your listeners, they just manufactured another 500 copies. This is like the 3rd time.
That's awesome.
So I haven't had a selling record like this in 20 years. So you get a little bit edgy in your head going, is this right? But I got Andy involved to keep that Bangalore sound.
Perfect.
Which is imperative, But I've got a couple of really super big ballads on it, and the rest are really mid-tempo, up-tempo. And Andy's got 4 or 5 that he and I are putting together right now. So I think after those are done, I'm going to stop because I don't want to do another 16-song record.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that habit. Oh, Dave's got another double album out. I'm a little nervous about that. And most of the response I've got when I've asked, like, no, you shouldn't do it again. So I want to pick the best 12,
Yeah.
And I will use Andy for guitar, Ricardo on bass, and Nalo on drums, and a few outside guys to play on it. Most of the vocals I record that I as keepers. When I go in there, I'm not just going to go, sing along as a demo and get the idea. I want it done. And It's really good, Tyson. It's strong.
It's exciting.
And I noticed something with Tommy. It may sound weird to my fans, but he came from Duran Duran. You know, he played in all those kind of bands and those records and Andy Taylor and stuff. So I started hearing chord changes, and I said, "Man, that's 1982." And I said, "You got a little Duran Simon Le Bon going on there in that melody." He goes, "Glad you know
That's
this."
ear candy.
With the David, yeah, put your Dave stamp on it. And we talked. He called me today, and he goes, "We were talking about the Elegant Weapons record with Richie Faulkner, and you know how he feels about it." And then I go, "How do you feel about our stuff?" He goes, "It's you, man, but it's got a little bit of an edge to it." And then I said, "I'm scared." He said, "Don't be." You know, I said, "Okay, you're right." You know, because we all have that anxiety. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard to follow up. I don't know. This one just kind of fell out of the sky, like we talked about, and everybody grabbed onto it. Like today, I heard him playing on 97 Underground. The DJ says, "I wasn't real sure about this song. I never meant to, but I really have grown to love it
It's a
and what
great
David's
song.
doing with Bangalore Choir." And I got the recording of it from a friend of mine in Baltimore, so I shared it with the guys, and he said it's a grower. So I'd rather have it be a grower than I played it once and then don't hear it again. You know.
Yeah. Oh, that's a killer song. I mean, it really is.
Thank you.
And I think it's growing on me more as you mentioned that. I liked it, but I like it when I was watching the video. I'm like, this is such a strong song.
Yeah, I mean Mario Percadani and I wrote that together. It was a couple of years ago. We kind of fleshed it out, and one day it just came, and I said, "We're got to record this." He goes, "Yeah, come over,"
That's cool.
and we did it like in a couple hours, and it's always been kind of in the back of my head that one needed to get life, you know.
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Now, I'm
But
curious. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm blabbing.
I'm curious about the response to Prisoner when people heard it. Did you get much? Did many people give you any feedback on that?
What?
On Prisoner? On Rapid Succession?
No, I didn't want to do it. I was talked
I remember
into
you
it.
said that. Yeah.
And you know, people are like, "Why'd you do that?" It's like, well, they asked me to. And Swimming with a Shark, I that was a punk song that I
remember you
recorded.
said that. Yeah.
And then they said, "You need to modernize that thing and it'll be a hit." Well, in Germany, that song is really loved,
Yeah.
but nobody else talks about it. So those two songs, I'm not that fond of. And I don't know if it's the bitter taste in my mouth from the Accept, you know, thing.
Yeah.
But if picking an Accept song, I would have definitely picked another one. But it was a matter of taste for a certain individual. So I did it. And sometimes you got to compromise and go, "Okay, I'll shut them up and record it."
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it again. But the songs like you're mentioning, like "I Never Meant to," "The Light," "Bullet Train," "Driver's Seat," all those songs are the ones that stuck to people.
Yeah.
And the first one, you know, it worked, whatever it was, you know. Um, but I would never do that again. I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that song that Elvis redid of the Righteous Brothers? I just saw it the other day. The big ballad when he's
Like that
the last
loving
show
feeling?
he ever
Not
did.
that one. He didn't do that song, did he?
Unchained Melody.
Unchained Melody. Oh, yeah. Right.
Oh my God. I mean, the Righteous Brothers, they nailed it, right? But when he sang it, when he was like 200 pounds overweight, sitting at the piano with the guy holding the microphone for him, sweat pouring off his face, and he hits that note like an opera singer, and he's shaking. You know, you can see he's not well, but that voice and the way he delivered, I would record that song.
That's a great song.
God,
Yeah,
what a song.
I was curious. I was asking about Prisoner
I don't know
because
if
I
it
was
was-
curious, and you kind of answered that. Would you redo something from the past again? Like, have you ever thought about redoing
Well,
anything from Circle of Silence? Because a lot of people didn't get to hear that.
I don't think so. I would love to play with Larry and Greg again. Greg Chason
So
from
good.
Badlands is probably one of the greatest rock bass players that nobody really knows about on the world. He's kind of a John Paul Jones guy with the cowboy image and just
Yeah.
the Rusty Bill ZZ Top vibe. And that guy,
Corn, yeah.
and Larry on guitar,
Yes.
Larry Farkas. I mean, we had something. And as a matter of fact, the original drummer in that band was Ray Luzier, who's been in Korn now for 20 plus years. And he was a little farm boy from Indiana. I walked into rehearsal and Greg goes, "Check this kid out I found." I'm like, "What?" And now he's the guy in Korn. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah, and he played.
Maryland.
He initially played with like Mark Ferrari and Medicine Wheel, and with I guess Ian Mayo
David
too.
Lee Roth.
Yeah, and David Lee Roth. That's right. Yeah.
He told me 7 years of his life were the most fun I've ever had playing with that guy. He said it was never a dull moment. That guy was mad, but he said it was Roth, man. It was the greatest 7 years of my life.
And you know what? It's funny. Speaking of Circle of Silence, if you go on Wikipedia and look up your name, there is under Circle of Silence. Was there a demo that you had initially was supposed to be a David Reece solo project? That's what it says on Wikipedia.
Not with that.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
That was my failed attempt at trying to be relevant after Bangalore was dropped. We talked about that, Dog Eat Dog with Warrant and all these bands. We decided we were going to try to put on flannel shirts and combat boots and grow our hair really long and dirty and putting hairspray in our hair and makeup on. And I think I told you, I think it was about a month or two after everybody got dropped. I was in a barbecue with Janie Lane and Piercy, and everybody was there in the kitchen, and we were doing shots tequila, and everybody was kind of like, "What do we do now?" They wouldn't even take my phone calls, and it was like we were the walking dead.
As a music fan, it was not a good time.
It was a weird.
As just a music fan, as a young kid, it was weird.
Really. Well, I mean, it's so weird. Over here, Nirvana and Soundgarden and Audioslave and Eddie Vedder are still like revered.
Yeah.
Corey Taylor. I mean, those guys, they sell out the ones that are still living, of course. But I saw Priest in July last year, and the week after, Priest had 10,000. The week after was Slipknot. There was over 20,000 people. So that's a weird thing about Italy. Melodic hard rock.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds moronic and ironic, but Frontiers is based out of Italy, a melodic rock label. I've done festivals where Friday night is melodic hard rock night, half capacity. The next night is kind of a heavy metal night,
Packed.
maybe 3/4. Sunday is thrash and speed. People dressed in black in the 100-degree weather, from the door opening till it's over, losing their freaking mind.
Wow.
It's the weird thing, territorial, in Italy. So there's really not much of a market for my music, so to speak, other than the Frontiers Festival, and you got to be on that label to play it. But
yeah, I just saw a thing for that today, actually.
Yeah.
From Frontiers saying that the Frontiers Festival was happening.
Yeah, well, the two guitar players that are in the band Frontline were my guitar team on the Alcatraz and Girl Scout World Tour last fall.
Cool.
And they're out right now as the guitarist for the band Warlord, touring America. And they're coming back here and they're playing the Frontiers Festival with Frontline. And I want to go see those guys. But it's like, here's Warlord, Man-O-War metal, and then soft rock with Frontline. It's a strange, mix of music. It's weird. But that's what that festival's all about. But that's really probably the only one that could pull that kind of crowd.
That's wild. It's funny that we were talking about, you doing shots with Janie Lane and Stephen Percy. I just came across a interview I think it was on YouTube, with Mark Slaughter talking about the 90s. And he claimed that there was a shift at MTV, that there was a guy who took over MTV and hated the whole era and totally shifted everything.
Absolutely. It shifted, you mean away from hard rock?
Because he hated the hard rock thing. He wanted it out, and he started pushing all this grunge on everybody, and this is what everybody's going to listen to now. Screw all the 80s rock.
And then what happened? Grunge died after 3-4 years, and what did they do? They started doing MTV Cribs, and they went from a music television station that I remember when it started, and Rick Springfield and Pat Benatar were on all day, and Jesse's Girl, and I couldn't wait to hear with the guy who's coming on the moon, to watching a guy walk around with fur coats and 15 naked girls on the couch and Lamborghinis. And what happened to the music channel?
Yeah.
It's not MTV. And then what happened with grunge? They those headhunters, it's all about corporate sponsorship. If you want to keep this station alive, they're going to hunt down the guy that hates everything about me and the guys like Mark and put him in the seat and appeal to that audience and get all the light beer ads and, the best tennis shoes that are available, that was skateboards and all that stuff. That's their market. So it was a corporate decision. And I think they destroyed the music business as a whole. I mean,
yes,
it seems like everything that they can do to destroy music, they try to do. I mean, the last time that you saw a car with a CD player that's part of the package, what was that? 30 years ago. So streaming, politics. It seems like every turn I make, there's another, well, you got to do this now to stay relevant, or, chick bands. I call them tits, corsets, and fishnet bands. I mean, you get a bunch of 40-something-year-old guys that drink too much that go and stand in front thinking they got a shot at dating that girl. It's not about the music.
No.
It's about the sex appeal.
That's right.
I'd rather go see 80-year-old Rolling Stones than that. But there are a few all-girl bands that I think are really great. And I'll mention one is Burning Witches. They kick butt. Yeah. Courtney's a great guitar player, and they all are really talented people. They're starting to climb up. Nita Strauss, what she did with Alice.
Yeah.
Orianthi.
Yeah. I guess Alice has a new female guitar player.
Yeah, I think Nita's having a baby or something.
Cool. Yeah.
And stepped aside. But Floor Jansen, I did a gig with her sister Irene in Holland, and they look like twins. They're giant women. They're unbelievably large women, but very physical. But she looks just like her sister Floor. But she's a great singer too, Irene. But yeah, I'm not saying I'm a purist, but I'm not going to give Bruce Springsteen $3,000 to go see him do a political rant. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Corporate gigs, it just doesn't sound like fun. I want to go to a sweaty bar where my feet stick to the floor and the crowd's right there in my face. And the sweat's pouring down my face, and I'm delivering the goods the best I can, and people are singing the songs and pat me on the back, and I can't catch my breath after the gig for 30 minutes because of the adrenaline. And that's rock and roll to me.
Yeah.
I
just did a gig on the weekend in Ottawa, and the crowd, there was probably there was probably 200 people there, but those 200 people were ready to have a good time. And
That's good to hear, man. I was going to ask you about your band. Yeah. How it was going.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's Bon Jovi, right? I think I told you that before. So we're a Bon Jovi tribute called Bon Jovi Forever. So during Always, our singer stopped singing and the whole crowd was singing that chorus. And it's just one of those moments. I know it's, sometimes it's someone else's music, but it's like, you're like, wow, to have that, to be able to pull it off like that, where people are singing that song and you're like, holy cow, that is just amazing. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's the songs.
Yeah.
I mean, Tommy and Steve wrote and worked with Desmond Child for 5 years.
Yeah.
And that a little bit of that, whatever that DNA cosmic thing is, rubs off on you. When you live in the same city in Florida, and can I come hang out 5 days a week while he's composing with Diane Warren?
Yeah.
You pick some things up, either that or you're stupid. So you'll hear a lot of that on this new record. That
I cannot wait to
thing,
hear
like
that.
you said, with Always. Yeah, with Always. I mean, there's a reason why people, when you stop and the audience is singing that song, because it means it's part of their life.
Yeah.
That generation from 78 to, I don't know, 89, 90, man.
You know what? It's so timeless. Like, even when I listen to the Bangalore album, the first one, On Target, I listen to that and it's still fresh to me. When I put it on, it still sounds fresh. It's like you would never know this is 30 years ago, that's crazy to me.
I'm a late bloomer. I mean, I have even that Eat the Heat record. I had people walk up to me when I used to hate your guts, but I love you. This is a great album.
I listened to
it
today.
Bangalore Choir.
I listened to Eat the Heat today, David. Like I did.
You?
Yeah, and it's funny. I was like, you know what? We've never talked about this song, Turn the Wheel, which, as I was listening to that, the drum sound is, as we've talked about before, it's got a very digital sound. But there's a few things in that song that stood out to me. Those background vocals, this huge chorus with all this singing. Do you remember doing that? Like, who recorded all those vocals?
Tyson, that was the first song that Peter put on a 2-inch tape.
Really?
When I told you the story of dragging me down to the basement studio and setting up a 24-track machine. And mind you, I'd only seen maybe 2 of them in my life before that.
Yeah.
And put a 58 in my face, had a little sound desk, and said, sing something. And I go, what? And he goes, I call it Turn the Wheel. Okay. But Acceptor are notorious for the chants. Balls to the wall.
Yeah. The
Turn the wheel around. And that's their forte.
Yeah.
So that was a natural thing with that song. I put the American party lyrics in and sexual lyrics, sexualize it a bit, but that was the first Accept song that I actually co-wrote with Peter. It's funny you mentioned that, because I talked about that a couple of weeks ago to a Slovenian guy. He asked me the same thing. What was the first song? And I was like, I was Turn the Wheel, of all things. And it's got kind of an AC/DC vibe a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it's a cool song.
And
you know what I love about it too is the different guitar tones on that song as well. Wolf was kind of like,
I took Wolf Hoffman to see Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yes, I remember you saying that. Yeah, you can hear that in that album, all over that album.
Yeah, and he's playing Strats at the time. He was a Flying V guy. He is again, but he had an old white Strat. And when we saw Stevie, I remember there was like 20 people in the crowd, and he sat down on the drum riser and took the boom stand and crossed his legs and said, hey, y'all, let's have some fun tonight. And he opened up with Scuttlebutt. And I remember I had like 3 beers, big ones. And at the end of the show, Wolf was standing there, had not even touched his beer. And he looked at me and he goes, what just happened? I said, that was Stevie Ray Vaughan. So the next morning, we went that night to the World of Music store, which was 24 hours in those days. He bought every Stevie Ray Vaughan record available live.
Remember you
from studio. And he studied, and then I turned him on to David Gilmour. So you'll hear like in
That's
Generation
where all those
Clash that Pink Floyd.
those clean tones that he's using,
Yeah.
and the opening track on Eat the Heat, he's kind of doing that little guitar intro that is like it's him playing Stevie Ray Vaughan type of thing, the way he would interpret it.
I mean, he'll probably hate me if he hears about this, but that's a true story. I mean, he looked at me and just like, he's playing the heaviest strings on a guitar, and must have fingers like, Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And he's playing solos and rhythm at the same time. How does he do that? And I mean, literally like stunned. And he studied him. And then I said, another brick in the wall. If you listen to that, I always thought it was a Strat, but it's actually a Gold Tub Les Paul, that solo, which I just learned a couple of years ago
I
that
always
Gilmour
thought that
played
was
with
a
that
Strat.
feel. It's a Les Paul. And he's one of the Les Pauls that he sold at that auction. It's the gold painted back too, the neck. And of course, his go-to Strat was the black one. He's got another one now that he said is very similar in feel and tone, but it's not like that one.
Yeah.
But he listened, like if you listen to Generation Clash, dude, that first thing, that bend is a Gilmour thing. And I think he was tired of the, and if we're going to do this new style of Accept, I've got to really put my head into what's going on. And he did.
And I think he did. I think he did brilliant, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because
he's a great guitar player.
He's
very, very good.
The more you dig into it and actually focus on just listening to, besides the songs, listening to his guitar playing and the textures within of what he's doing is just phenomenal.
Yeah, he's really good. And they kind of started that progression with Metal Hard into Russian Roulette. They were moving into a more commercialized direction. And then they said, if we're going to break this band, you got to get a guy who's an American guy. And if we're going to hit platinum, we got to do this. And sadly, it didn't happen. I mean, there's a gold on the wall behind me, but
which is awesome. Yeah.
That was about the peak for them. But if you go to YouTube and you look at Balls to the Wall, what is it? 200 million views. Yeah. And Princess of the Dawn, it's kind 150 million.
I mean, I remember I've told you this before, seeing Balls to the Walls on, I remember I said it scared the shit out of me. Udo scared me. And little did I know it was like this small guy, but I was a kid. But it's still, I was like, oh my God, this guy's scary.
They shot that video with him on the wrecking ball in, I think, Manchester, England. And that's one of the coldest, rainiest places on earth, right?
Yeah.
And they had to shoot all night to do that video. And they were on tour. And Udo on that crane with that stupid wrecking ball that was fake, crashing into a building.
Yeah.
That was the breakout album for those guys. That was it. And I mean, they've had a couple of, it's like we talked about last time. You can release a couple of stinkers in Europe, but if you have a loyal fan base, they'll deal with it as long as you play the classics.
Yeah.
It's like I say with Bangalore Choir, my attempts at trying to replicate that sound. I'd have maybe 2 or 3 good ones and 7 or 8 stinkers on every one of those records. When I put my mind to this resurgence last year, I said, if I'm going to do this, I got to do this. And I don't know what happened when I made that first album. It just worked, but we worked. We recorded every night and we rehearsed every day. We became a band. And Bangalore Choir means literally explosive vocals because everybody in the band was a singer.
Yeah.
So we sang real live 4 and 5 part harmonies,
That's crazy. That
amazing. Taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kurt Mitchell. That guy's one of the greatest guitar players on the planet. Could sing, play guitar, play drums, banjo, saxophone. Takes him like 10 minutes. Can I jam on that? And I go, you play it? No, I just want to. And 10 minutes later, he's playing something. He's one of those guys, Yeah. I hate him for that.
That's amazing. Well, David, I hate to let you go, but I have to go pick up my son from school, unfortunately.
Hey, man. God bless you, bro.
Man, it was so great to talk to you, and I'm sure we will talk again soon. And
I'm hoping BraveWords picks up another one. I would assume that they
fingers crossed.
are pretty open to it with the success. And I thank everybody at BraveWords. I thank you and all your listeners. And I got a new one coming, man. And
Can't wait.
I'm tracking tomorrow, Friday, and Monday. And I think I'm about done. Unless a lightning bolt strikes me and something better comes up. But I'm pretty happy. I've been pounding the ground to make this record. And I think it's a great fall. My wife, there's a song on this record called The Bitter End. And she just looked at me and went, oh my God. And I went, is it good? And she goes, it's great.
That's amazing.
So there's a bunch like that.
Good. I can't wait
So
to.
I'm happy. I'm excited for you to hear it.
Yeah, and I'm excited, and we'll get to talk about it. Hopefully, so.
We will.
Okay.
God willing, we're still on Earth and we're breathing. And
exactly.
We got a lot to talk about, bro.
We always do. Okay, David. Enjoy the rest
All
of your.
my best to you and your family.
You too, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, my friend. Bye-bye.